What do you guys remember most about the first time we had to talk?
Honestly, I
Uh-huh.
remember that you hide your cups in the cabinet.
Listen, it is still a discussion that we have to this day. I promise you. And when you watch our episode,
Yeah.
it comes up. And I think the thing that's important about that is I think it articulates that you can't change folks.
Mm.
And so while our discussion is different now, it was an argument when we came back from the honeymoon, but now it's discussed differently. Now on both ends there's thought about, okay, how do I say what I got to say to you right now, kind of thing. And so very powerful. Anything else?
No. Well, actually, what you just said actually brought something to mind. Before getting married, you were I can only speak for me, right?
Uh-huh.
I was pretty cavalier with my words, and it didn't matter to whom I was speaking. But after meeting and spending lots of time with Jen, I realized that what I say, what I say means something different depending on who I'm saying it to in the audience.
I'm a sponge. I am a sponge. I take it all in. I, meditate on it. I think about it. I spin it around in my head. What do you mean by that? So.
Meanwhile, I didn't mean anything by it. I just said it. Being part of this relationship has helped me to be more intentional with the words that I use, and that, I think that has helped me, grow as a man and grow as a leader, especially with what I do.
Yeah. Because if you figured out real quick, I better say this stuff right, kind of thing.
There's nothing there worth fighting for. I just need to know if one thing is true. Do you still love me like you used to do? What is the alright? Baby, can we still shine? Tell me that we'll be fine. Always still alive.
So welcome again to another episode of How Love Can Last Forever After All. Today we have the wins.
I'm Eric, and this is Jennifer, my beautiful and amazing wife. We've been married for a long time. 15 years? 15, almost 16.
16. We've been together for almost 20 years.
Yeah. Been together for 20 years, married for 16. And what is the magical date of the wedding?
July 20th, in 2006.
July 20, 2006. And so once again, tell me a little bit about how you guys met.
Okay, so there's a block party. So I went to Morehouse College and she went to Spelman. So for freshman orientation week, all of the incoming freshmen will pretty much stay to their schools and learn the history and learn all the stuff about college life and being indoctrinated, for lack of a better word.
Now let me slow you up. Let me ask, because I need to, because a lot of people may know about the whole Atlanta and how it all works.
Mm-hmm.
But there are how many different schools like in that?
Well, there were 6.
So yeah, there were 6. So
right,
there's
Morehouse
College, Spelman College. There's Clark Atlanta University. There's Morris Brown College. There's ITC, which is International Theological College, and
Morehouse School of Medicine.
Morehouse School of Medicine.
And they're all like within like what, a 3-mile radius of each other, kind of thing.
Right.
Yeah.
Like really, really close to each other.
Yes, sir.
Right. And so Morehouse is an all-male school. Is that still the case?
Yes, sir.
And Clark is all-women's school.
No,
Spelman.
I'm sorry, is all-women's school. Right. But there's a lot of activities that those 2 schools will do together.
Yes, and you can take classes at each one as well.
Yep.
Oh, okay.
And so it was great to take the art classes at Spelman.
Okay, you're going to tell me more about that, I can see. So you guys had a freshman orientation. Is that, let me catch back into.
Right.
So now you guys, you're not both freshmen at the same time, is that right?
No, so the upperclassmen get to play staff for this block party. So at the end of the freshman orientation, Again, everyone's kind of segregated into their schools, learning the history and whatnot. And at the end of it, there's a big block party where everyone's wearing the same clothes to show unity. It's called. It was called Operation Olive Branch.
I don't know if they do that anymore, though.
Yeah. So, but it was a great idea because everyone's wearing the same shirt. Nobody knows what school that you go to, so you're just kind of introducing yourself to folks that you meet, and it's a great icebreaker, great mixer. But the upperclassmen get to play staff and chaperone to make sure that no shenanigans are happening, and that's kind of where we met. So it was my junior year, her sophomore year.
No, you were a senior.
Okay, I was a senior, and I was I was on this grassy knoll, making my rounds through to make sure folks were behaving and doing the good stuff, and went back to my spot where my friends were, and
the friends were gone. Clearly, I was sitting there,
and she was sitting in my spot.
So Jen, were you sitting in his spot by accident, or did you?
I had just sat down, and then some friends of mine had come over, so it was a clear and free spot for me.
Mutual friend.
So you guys had a mutual friend. Okay.
Yeah.
So what happens after the mixer?
So then our mutual friend, I asked about her, and we started talking online for a little bit. And
because back then we had, instant messaging had just become a thing, so we started chatting through instant messenger, like college club, was that it? No, no, Yahoo.
Well, this is where you got to do all the writing. You got to type it all in, all that kind of stuff.
Yeah, you type it. Mm-hmm.
Wow. And so, are you typing it on a keyboard or on a cell phone?
On a keyboard.
On a keyboard.
Yeah, I don't think
cell phone.
For the cell phones back then, you had to push the 8 button 6 times just to get the number that you want, or the letter that you wanted.
Back then.
Okay, yeah, that's why I'm trying to. Okay.
No. This is all.
This is like on a computer, like an AOL kind of.
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm just trying to get my head wrapped around the time frame kind of thing.
It might even have been Yahoo. I don't know.
It might have been. I don't remember.
And I'll tell you a quick funny story. Every year, my wife and we go back to Buffalo to visit. And there's about 3 or 4 spots that I have to go to get food. Like, Buffalo food, there's none like it. Chicken wings, there's Lee's Ribs, there's a Hoagies, right? So one of them is Lee's Ribs, right? So I go in there, I order the rib tips kind of thing, and I grab my wallet, I go to give him my card. He goes, "Oh no, we don't take cards here." And I was like, "Oh, let me also say this. It is in the part of town that you look both ways before you get out of your car. It is okay, right?" So I'm thinking, "Oh man, I don't have any cash. I don't care." He goes, "There's an ATM right behind you." I said, "Oh, okay, we're great." So I put my card in. I put my little security card in here. It was a dial-up. Yes. And I'm saying this is like 2 years ago.
Wow.
I laughed so hard. I was like, this thing works. It was a dial-up. And so that story just came in. I just had to tell it. I'm sorry. So that's what you guys are dealing with, doing a dial-up, typing on the computer.
Yes, sir.
So
I invited the church.
We did that for 2 months. So we weren't talking on the phone. We were just chatting.
And no meeting anywhere?
No, because we were just, we were just friends. I mean,
yeah. But I'm saying, even though you're friends, if I'm typing, if I'm typing somebody, is this a nightly kind of thing?
Yeah. This was daily. Yeah. Hours.
So for hours at a time?
Yeah.
And she's just down the street. But she wasn't interested in me in that way, and I wasn't necessarily interested in her.
No. I'm not even talking about the interest piece. I'm just saying, if it's me, I'm not typing. Listen, meet me at the coffee shop, or meet me at the bookstore, or meet me at that tree. Okay, but y'all. So tell me, what was interesting about that? What did you say? 2-month time period that you guys are doing this typing as friends?
Yeah, so it's interesting.
The conversation was amazing. It was like I'd known him forever, so it was easy.
He didn't tell you he was quoting old old Earth, Wind and Fire songs and
No,
Commodore songs.
we just connected. You know, it was easy to talk to him for hours, and
Okay.
we challenged each other to do well in school. Like, it was just great. It was a great time.
So what was the most memorable sentence, paragraph, thing? What's the most memorable thing he said to you, Jen, in that time?
Question.
That's a good question.
Man.
Because he was so good and all, just so eloquent with his words.
Friends. That's the thing. We're still friends. We're still talking. So it's hard to pinpoint one thing because
I said a lot of amazing things.
He's been pretty consistent.
But Eric, there's a great deal of truth to that because for you to keep a person's attention, even as a friend that you met one time at a mixer, and you are typing able to keep the attention, yeah, there's something to that. So tell me, Eric, what was motivating you to do that on a daily basis?
I thought she was really just a cool person, like someone that I enjoyed chatting with. Just to vent or to talk about, again, the encouragement was fantastic. I had just gotten out of a pretty crazy relationship. And so talking to somebody that's, sane was really awesome. And there was actually, I think it was one time, shortly after we started talking, some girl was like, I'm gonna come down to Atlanta and I'm gonna get you or something like that. And I was like, listen, I need for you to pretend. We're again just friends. I need you to pretend to be my girlfriend, real quick, just so this one will leave me alone.
I did pretend. Yeah.
Okay, I'm a little slow. When you say somebody from somebody else, so that means like the way it was working, you could talk to different people on this. Is that what I'm understanding?
Right.
Yes.
Okay, so it's like texting, but it's in its infancy stages,
right? And then
you have to be on the computer, and
and then you can go into like a group chat.
Yeah.
And so this girl, you had talked to her in other forms, and then she just went off the deep end. The Lord told her that you was the one, and all that kind of stuff.
That's funny because that's what I told her.
Yeah, that's what you showed her. The Lord told you. We're gonna get to that kind of thing. So you had her to play to be your girlfriend.
Yes.
Now, Jen, let me ask you: Did you think that there was anything to that more than the play?
I didn't, because we were friends. I was willing to help a friend.
Sure. Okay. So tell me, when did the blinders come off for both of y'all in this friendship?
For me, it was much sooner than it was for her. But I think it was after we'd gone to church a couple times.
Okay.
Like I enjoyed being with her, and then you hear that small voice like, "Hey, this." She right here. She you won't find better, bro. I'm like,
so now you said that was the Lord. Was that the Lord or was that you?
No, it wasn't me. I mean, she's amazing. She's gorgeous and all.
Right.
But like again, I saw her as a friend, and then I saw her differently, and I can't. It was after one of the times that we went to church,
right,
and just looked at her differently,
right.
And it wasn't with lust or anything like that. It was just
a little bit, but Willie.
Well, I mean, she's nice. I mean, but it wasn't with that. It wasn't like I'd looked at other women before, right? It was.
I'm with you.
It was more. I can see a future. Like there is so much more to uncover. No pun intended.
Yeah, and the reason why I wanted to kind of dig into that a little bit more is because for people who may be looking for marriage, right? I don't want to leave the thought process that you got to hear from the Lord, right? But I like what you said, Eric, because I can relate to it. Because in my story, the first time I saw her, I said she's the one, right? But I've never said the Lord told me. I said she's the one. But I have said this. That when I started looking through the scriptures and I think I told you guys that I wanted to hear what the Bible said about marriage. And at 14, all I could see was that you get married so you can have legal, guilt-free sex. Right? But I remember going, okay, yeah, there's a lot of girls that I see that are pretty, that if I be honest, at 14, I'm 15, 16, 17, 18, I wouldn't mind having sex with them. I could, but I don't want to marry none of them.
Yeah.
So once again, I wanted to articulate that there is a difference, because as human beings, we can see people that we're attracted to and that we may want to physically get involved with, but there is something different about this issue of marriage. And oftentimes, I think when people say, I heard the Lord say, and I'm asking you because I still haven't been able to clearly kind of make that clear for folks. But I think, like you, Eric, I had that same kind of experience where I said, yeah, no, that I don't know what's going on with the rest of this, but that one right there, yeah. But that's why I wanted to, because I believe it is the Lord. I believe the Lord did speak to me, but he gave me the desires of my heart, baby. Okay. So yeah, I think it's that mixture of, the Lord being able to give you what the desires of your heart is, kind of thing, but it is also a decision that you make, kind of thing. So that happened for you after a couple of days, a couple of times going to church. What was going on with you, Jen?
Well, I don't want to say he was friend zoned, but initially, he was. And I think that we did go to church a few times, but it was meeting him and talking with him in person that made me think, okay, well, maybe. And then a little longer after that, certainly not as soon as him, but around the same time, the Lord was speaking to me as well and said, this is the man that I've created for you.
Tell him about the list.
Oh, I had written like a whole list of what I wanted in my person, right?
You wrote it down.
I wrote it down, and I had like
She was a kid.
100 things on there.
What?
And I prayed about it, and I gave it to God, and I was done with it.
Wait. You had 100 item list?
Yeah.
Oh Lord. How many did he match?
A majority.
It's at least 51.
That's
at least 51. Right. I'm like, you said a majority.
You didn't have a tattoo.
Oh, he had you on your list. You wanted him to have a tattoo?
Yes.
And he didn't have one.
He didn't have one.
But
that wasn't a deal breaker. That wasn't the deal breaker. So you
had him in categories.
Yeah.
So now, when did you share this list with him?
Much later.
Okay, it wasn't in the friend zone that you shared the list.
No. Why would I do that?
Well, because y'all friends, because friends share, yeah.
No, it was much later. And so when I thought about it, and I was like, oh yeah, I have a list. I went back and I read it, and I checked off, each, category, each thing, comparing it to him, and most of it he met.
Did you see the list, Eric?
I don't think so.
Oh, you never saw the list? Okay.
No.
I think you did.
Did I?
Yeah.
I don't remember.
I think I showed you.
It's been at least a Sunday since then.
Yeah, listen. Look, he said I done burned up the list already by the time you're gonna show it to me, so it don't matter what you got on that list or not. That's pretty funny.
After some time, I knew that he was my person, so I just needed my heart to catch up.
Tell me what's that mean? You needed your heart to catch up.
Well, he will tell you that he was in love with me from date 2. I needed a little longer than that. I needed time to, spend time with him in person, to really get to know him, to fall in love. I wasn't in love with him on date 2. Although I knew he was my person, I'm slow about moving just in general.
And you said date 2, not date
right.
2. Date
right.
2.
Date.
So what happened on date 2 that made you know, Eric?
Did we go watch a movie?
No, it was before that.
Oh. Just that that inexplicable
knowing.
feeling like, man, I don't know if I can spend the rest of my life without this person in my life in it.
He said, "I am in love with you."
He said that on the second date?
Yes.
I sure did. I threw
Okay.
it out there. I laid it out on the table.
Okay, but now, so let me get this right. So you've had 2 months of texting I call it texting. What do y'all call it? Can I call it texting?
Chatting.
Chatting. You had 2 months of chatting as friends,
Mhm.
right? And then you went to church a few times,
Mhm.
right? And then you went on one date.
Mhm.
How did he ask you to go on the date? How did that go?
Oh, he did, and then embarrassed me royally.
Oh yeah. Hey Calvin, after she didn't leave after that, I knew it was all right.
Okay, wait. So how you embarrassed? What'd you do?
He was late. He had stood me up, and
stand up
you were
means I didn't come back.
you were so late. I thought you weren't coming, so it was similar to those feelings. Anyway, so we were supposed to go to dinner and a movie, and I was mad at him, so I wasn't really talking to him in the car. So at a stoplight, he gets out. And he's just like, "I'm so sorry." I was like, "Boy, if you get in this car."
He did the Nutty Professor on you?
He did. And then when we got to the movies, he fell out on the floor. Why?
Because you said I wouldn't.
So yeah, in front of a room full of people, he just fell out on the floor.
So now that embarrassed you, but did it say anything else to you?
Maybe that I would do anything for you.
Or you just crazy.
Okay, that's fair.
Not too crazy that you didn't go on that second date. So
it was a growth experience for me. So I realized in that moment I couldn't control him, and that's okay.
So tell me, why was you late, man?
I don't even remember. I had schoolwork or ROTC or something. It would never be intentional. I despise being late.
Jen, that's the Eric I remember from the youth group. He you couldn't stay mad at that face for 10 minutes with him. You but I think the other thing about it is you could see the purity. Like you could see the authenticity in and I'm talking about it when I saw him as a teenager. You could see the authenticity, and so that's interesting. So tell me, let's move on to the next question. What was the most impactful memory you have of a relationship before you guys got together? I think you kind of touched on yours, Eric. The crazy lady, the crazy relationship. You said said you was in a.
You said before we got together, or
before you guys got together. Like what was impacting your view on relationships, on marriage?
I was 19, so I had a while. I was still really young. I just got out of high school a year before. Okay. I was a serial monogamous even then. Okay. So I was used to commitment, and I think that relationship had, just expired. It had gone on for so long. It was just naturally over. Okay. So I was just looking for friendship. I was tired of dating in general, and I just didn't want that in my life. I wanted to focus on school.
Got you. So am I understanding correctly, in high school you had a long-term relationship that lasted a while?
It did, yeah. It lasted all of high school.
All 4 years?
Mm-hmm.
Wow. Okay. Yeah. Did you consider yourself to be in love?
Puppy love. I understood it to be puppy love by the end of it.
I got you.
Yeah.
And that was the most impactful. That, like, listen, I'm just gonna focus on.
Yeah, because I think at that point, that other relationship, we'd been through a lot. I knew more so what I wanted in someone and what I didn't, and what I was willing to put up with and what I wasn't.
I.e., 100 items on the list.
That came, yeah. Because I think that freshman year of college, I may have dated a couple people, but it was nothing serious.
Okay.
So I was kind of putting that on the back burner.
Okay. So Eric, tell me about you. Relationship most impactful.
So honestly, and I kid you not, I have seen the way you and Curtis.
So you were talking about how you watched Lisa and I, you watched Curtis and Denise, and how it impacted how you guys, how you saw what you want a relation to look like. Is that right?
Correct. And James and Teresa, brother James and
There you
Teresa.
go. I knew it was a third person. Okay. So how did that influence or affect how you kind of move forward in college?
So all the relationships that I tried to forge, looking in that direction, there were some swings and misses. There are some folks that you meet and you're like, you know what, I can't really fool with you too long because you're one of those seasonal people, as folks call it, right? You're just here for a season.
Yeah.
I know better than to yoke myself to someone that is not on the same level, or at least striving to get there.
Gotcha.
So we'll mess around and fool around or whatever for a little bit, but it's nothing long term. And so I ended up in a relationship with this lady who turned out to be married, and did not end well because it was just a really messy relationship. And so we ended that, or I ended
You
that.
didn't know she was married.
Right. I didn't know that she was married. As soon as I found out, I ended it, and then crazy. Not the same crazy lady, but same kind of crazy. And then I decided I was just done trying to find the one. I was just gonna live my life and figure it out as it comes.
Yeah.
Then I met Jen. She set me on the path.
She set you straight, huh? What did those relationships do to you relative to your relationship with God? Did they bring you closer to God after you had those kind of mishaps?
Those missteps?
Yeah.
No, honestly, I would say that even in those relationships, like you know that you're still in it anyway. You're like, let's. If I stop hearing from God, then I know that there's an issue, and continuing to get further and further from, into all kinds of just dumb stuff. I mean,
worldly things.
Yeah, that's it. That's it.
I believe that the primary purpose of marriage is to heal each other's heart. I can find a bunch of scriptures that talk about a whole bunch of different things about marriage, but that is the primary. That's the principal purpose for marriage. So I always like to ask couples this: do you guys think you guys have been doing a pretty good job of caring for each other's heart?
Okay. I want to say yes. I always strive to keep his heart safe. It was entrusted to me from almost day one, and it's something special, something I value. So I've always tried. I am always still learning how to. We evolve. To keep mindful of his heart and to protect it at all costs.
How about
you? I would say over the years, I have learned to get better at doing it. Always care for her and wanted to make sure that I didn't, hurt her. But learning how to express that love, to how to continue to protect her heart. That has been a learning process. Even that I'm still learning now how to do it better and get better at it.
Yeah, and Eric, I'll tell you,
it is just a lot of work.
Yeah, but I'll tell you, there have been, I want to say at least 2 or 3 of the other guys that we've interviewed in the couples, and they said something very similar. They said things. Listen, I thought I knew what to do, but I'm starting to realize that I didn't quite know. Kind of thing. But once again, the essence and the authenticity of, I really know you love me. you just trying to figure this thing out, kind of thing is what the spouse would say, kind of thing. And so, and this is what I say. I say to everybody, man, can you imagine if before we got married, we sat down and we said, listen, here's the reason why you guys are getting together is because the Lord wants you two to heal each other's hearts. And not you two to heal each other's hearts, but the Lord wants to use you two to wash each other with the word so that all your heart issues are healed, so that they're a safe place. So let's go back to Genesis and let's talk about the beginning story. And I want to bring out some details that I think will make it clearer. The first thing that God said about man, not to man, but about man was, it's not good to be alone. Right? So as soon as the enemy heard that, that was the first thing he was trying to do, is to get them separated from each other and from God. And he was able to do that, right? But then if you look in Genesis, I want to say it's the second chapter, maybe it's the third chapter. But then God starts talking about the consequences of that mistake. Now, I'm not trying to water it down by saying mistake, because we know it was sin. But the reality is it was a mistake. And I think the reason why I like to share it like that is because who hasn't made mistakes? Right?
Right.
And so he talks to, okay, because of this mistake you made, Adam and Eve, this is what happens to you, serpent. And he tells them what happens to him. But then he says to the woman, he says this. He says, you're gonna have pain in childbirth, right? And then one version says, and you're going to contend for power with your husband. And your husband is going to lord over you. So that's a consequence of the mistake, right? So we go to the New Testament and we find out that obviously the Lord hates divorce, that Moses allowed divorce because of hardening of heart, right? And so what's important to understand is the purpose for marriage is now to get back to this place that we had in the garden where we were naked and unashamed. Uh-oh, was I broken up? Were you guys hearing me?
Yeah, we heard naked.
Okay. Naked and unashamed, right?
Oh, okay.
We are naked. So the Bible says naked and unashamed. And I hear you, Jen, you just said, I've always wanted him to know that he had a safe place. I wanted him to know his heart was safe with me, right?
Yeah.
And so
Yeah.
Being able to be in that place where I can be naked and unashamed, right? So I can bring you my struggles, or you start to identify my struggles and you keep loving me. You're healing my heart. I've got walls up, I got barriers up, and you keep interacting with me through the barriers. You're healing my heart, kind of thing. And so I believe that if we lock into that purpose, then all of the other things that the Bible says about marriage become much easier, and less complicated. I think so often you can talk to some people and they can make marriage seem so complicated, when they start talking about submission and they start talking about covenant, because I think they talk about it from a transactional point of view. But marriage isn't transactional, it's relational. And I think that's so critical. So can you guys think of a time when you felt your spouse helped to heal your heart?
You go first.
So there were a couple of issues, especially coming out of the relationship, where I will admit that I had put barriers up, and again, through friendship, wasn't looking for anything more than friendship, developed into a relationship, and still had my I guess in the back of my head, my reservations about, all right, well, how much am I willing to put out there? How much am I willing to entrust in her? How much am I willing to give of myself to her? Like, honestly. And so she made that easy. I mean, again, super easy to talk to, super easy to trust. And we had that trust based on that friendship. So there was a foundation there, and we talked, we prayed, and this again all before we even formed a relationship more than just friendship, right? So from friendship, we would pray together, we would chat, and we would encourage, and that that was one of the things that helped to start that healing process from the disappointment and the discouragement of former relationships, especially the one with that crazy lady.
Yeah.
I should stop referring to her as crazy lady.
Really? She's somebody's someone. So
yeah, she's somebody's
sure,
wife. That's for sure.
We don't know. We have no idea where that is, but I'm sure that she's doing perfectly fine, or I hope so anyway.
Right.
For me, issue of can I trust you with my heart? And so that took longer for me because I too had built up walls and barriers over time. Past relationships, even though, yeah, I'm 19, but I still have. It was easy initially because he was so honest, he was funny, he was genuine. So it was easy to go from that friend stage to relationship stage. And it wasn't until later that did we get too comfortable? Did we take each other for granted? I'm not sure, but as with all relationships, we had our struggles with, can I continue to trust you with my heart?
The Lord really did use you to help heal a specific wounded place in my heart.
So I think for me,
it was the reverse for me.
Yeah, well, yeah.
Yeah.
I think for me, when our daughter had passed unexpectedly, like that drew a couple things could have happened. I could have gone reclusive and curled up into myself and just been there. But Jen was pregnant with EJ, and I could not.
We could not.
I could not sit there and kind of wallow in that. And I couldn't leave her there either. So that whole process drew me closer to God because I knew I could not. There's no way I can do this on my own strength.
Yeah.
And so I had to lean in order to be the man and help pull us out of that time that
season.
It was pretty rough, but praying our way through and seeking God and having to the faith to know that one day maybe we'll figure out why this happened, and if not, I mean it's taken a long time. If not, that's okay too for the time being. When we get to the other side, that'll be one of the first questions I'd ask God.
Yeah, without a shadow of a doubt. How would you guys say that the healing process is happening for you guys today? Like, how is that a more common practice for you? What would you say about the healing practice today? Because you do realize that for the rest of our lives, we will need to be transformed, which is what I believe is what happens in our healing process.
So even today, like show encouraging words, and I'll do the same. Just thinking about you. I love you. God loves you. We'll pray. Yeah. We'll pray over each other. We'll pray for kids. I mean, we continue again. Marriage.
We have learned to.
Yes. Yeah. Marriage is work. It's not just you can't just sit back and let it happen. Like the laurels and the accolades that you gained from last Mother's Day doesn't lead into this Mother's Day, right? So you have to make sure that you are, always stepping the game up, always putting in the effort in order to show the appreciation. I mean, because honestly, it's more than just it's love, need, and I'm not just talking about physical. I mean, like my life is incomplete without Jen in it. Like I could not imagine how miserable I would be without. Because I mean, honestly, there's so much joy. I mean, not all of it's been happy times. I'm not going to sit here and tell you that.
Yeah.
But as the wise Eddie Murphy once said in Vampire in Brooklyn, if every day is a sunny day, then what's a sunny day? And so, totally appreciate where we are and
what we have.
And what we have.
Yeah.
Even finding, the Bible says, count it all joy.
When trouble comes.
So yeah, just finding the joy in even those tough times. It's even affected the way I work, the way I operate at work, where I've always been a very optimistic person, but now I intentionally seek out the silver lining in every situation, because there's some way that God will get the glory in every single one of these situations, regardless of how impossible it is. And when it seems more impossible, that's when God gets more of the glory, as far as I'm concerned.
And that's the thing about our loss. It not only brought us closer to God, it brought us closer to each other, because at that point, I don't think we knew anybody who had gone through anything similar. So we really had to rely on each other and kind of anchor one another and support one another at a time when in the one breath you have a loss and in another you have a birth, because they were within like 6 weeks of each other. So it was one of those unique experiences where we really had to glean support and love and just really hold on to each other during a traumatic experience like that.
Yeah. And it pulls my heart every time, because I've talked to you guys a couple of times around the subject, and it pulls my heart every time. But like you say, the beauty in it is what I hear you guys talking about is really identifying the gift of submission. And so,
mutual
submission.
Yes.
Right. But the other piece that both of you guys are also articulating is how it taught you how to better submit to God. Right. When you experience a disappointment, God, I'm still going to trust you. And not just get to the place of trust you, but God, you're teaching me how to see you in all things. Right. And so if I begin to develop, watch this, that discipline of being able to see God, submitting to God in all things, then it's easier for me to transition that to my relationship with each other, so that we begin to receive the gift of submission. I really believe I'm going to be doing teaching on it, but I believe that submission is the greatest gift that God has ever given man. And I can show you where we submit all day, every day in other areas of our life, like with absolutely no problem. And we'll speak on it. We'll talk about how I got promoted and how I served my bosses, right? What's serving my boss? Submitting, right? We'll talk about how we bought this new house, right? And every month we submit our payment, right? I got some weight I got to lose, Eric. And so I'm talking about how I got to submit to my exercise plan, right? I got to submit to my dietary plan. We do it all day, every day. But there's no greater gift than to be able to submit to another person who has your heart, where you can be naked and unashamed, warts and all, mistakes and all, kind of thing. And you know, let me ask you this way. Have you ever had something that you knew about you that you thought, man, if they find out about it, that might be a deal breaker? And then they find out about it and they actually come closer to you. Physical still
Oh,
really.
well, you know what? When you said that, I always entered a relationship with the knowledge that I wasn't going to sleep with anybody. I was waiting until marriage um, to have sex with anyone. So
Okay.
I, again, shared that with him, and we took our relationship to a more serious level. And usually it would push people away, and that was okay with me. But he was okay with that.
And I did not subscribe to the non-premarital sex. That was not my subscription. But I was happy to once I knew that she was the one. I was happy to wait for her.
So now you waited for her, right?
Oh yeah.
And so watch this. No, okay. So let's put it out there. What was the long time? How long?
4 years.
Yes.
Good deal. So now watch this. You were waiting. Listen, I got 7, Doc. I know the feeling, Ray. So you were waiting for her, right? Because it was her request. But Eric, can you tell me what it did for you?
Well, it kept me focused. I mean, it definitely focused on, not you. I mean, yes, focus on you.
Yeah, better.
It freed me up. I mean, I didn't have to think about, all right, well, what am I getting into this weekend, or what am I getting into, next weekend or tonight or whatever. That was no longer the goal. It wasn't the goal to go out with my boys from work and go find some stuff to get into. Like, that's not that didn't become it the goal. It was, hey, let's go out and have fun, and I'm not really trying to do anything nutty. I got this nice young lady in Atlanta waiting on me.
Because he moved to Florida at that point.
Oh, that's right. You moved to Florida. But and the reason why I asked that is because I don't think enough men who have had seasons like this, where you found the one, you agree or decide that we're going to wait until we are in covenant, we're in marriage. And I don't think enough men have talked about what that time did for them. What it did for, like you say, clearing the mind, what it did for the change that you go through just in terms of hanging with your boys, the change that you go through in terms of the conversation that you have with your then girlfriend, fiance kind of thing. It changes, and it brings a level of clarity, and it brings a level of depth that I think is such a benefit. And for me, it was more valuable than anything that could have happened before my marriage. And for us, it actually helped to establish our place of intimacy, because we didn't live in separate states. We lived in the same city, and I had my own apartment. And when we made the decision, we know we're the one, but we're not going to have any premarital sex. We had to have. You talk about a list. I had a list too. She couldn't come to my apartment no more. There were a handful of clothes that she had that she couldn't wear around me. There were certain ways that she could not touch me, kind of thing. And what I found is having those kinds of conversations, our intimacy once we got married was so natural. Like, there was so much that we knew about each other without having been with each other, because we had talked it through, because it had happened in our and there was, and I love what you just talked about, Eric. You just said there was a freedom that you had. There was a clarity of mind that you have. I think that if men really could see the benefits of that whole abstinence, waiting, denying yourself kind of thing. I think it would blow their minds if more folks would talk about those seasons in life. And so I may do a fellas only session, Eric. So we may try to make that happen for you. All right. Let me ask you guys this question. What would you say to someone looking to get married today?
Friends first.
Yeah, 100%.
Knowing what you know about our relationship, I would stress being friends first. You don't have to jump into a relationship. Get to know each other.
Yeah.
That's the most important, each other every day. The things that you find cute today will be annoying tomorrow. So it's good if you are friends, that's how you at the end of the day.
Yeah.
I love it.
Marriage is work. I mean, it's work on both parts. Like there's a lot of effort that goes into making it work, and you have to want to make it work. You can't sit back and be a passive just audience member. Like this is your life, your relationship, and anything that's worth having is worth working for.
Communication doesn't end just because you get married. In fact, it gets more complicated because now you have to communicate so much more on so many different levels, and then you add later children to that. That's also key.
But making sure that you have a firm foundation, Christ-centered friendship, and then you start building on that. Like if you can build on that, then any wind or rain or whatever
flood,
whatever comes, whatever season comes, if you have that as your foundation, you'll be pretty solid.
Well, and I also like to say this: like people often talk about being healed before you get married, and I don't say that you need to be healed before you're married, because that's what wrinkles, stains, and blemishes are, right? But I do say this: being aware, and what I mean by that about the being aware is understanding that, be aware that there are going to be things that happen in your relationship that's going to expose things about you that you may not even know today.
It's true. There were issues that we had to go through that bothered him from his youth that I knew nothing about, but I triggered that, right, unknowingly. And so we had to grow through that and build.
and that's exactly how it happens in terms of, because the Bible says it like this: the heart is desperately wicked and no man knows what it's capable of, right? And so it's not wicked like you're intentionally trying to hurt somebody, but no man really knows what heart issues they have. And so you really don't find that out until you begin to interact with folks. One of the things that perceptions that I always grew up in church was the deep people were the people who were always alone with God, right? They were always praying. But as I read the scriptures, the deep people are the ones who are interacting and are in relationship, because I've got to be in relationship with people and they irritate me or I irritate them, but I'm able to stay in that relationship because I go to the word and the word helps me understand how to walk in love with them. Right? And so when you talk about your relationship and you two talking, it has been your two talking and your two arguing and your two having discussions and your two having old issues come up and working through that's made you more spiritual, that's made you in deeper relationship with God and with each other, right? As opposed to he's got his 9 to 5, you got the kids, and y'all kiss each other at night before you go to bed and get up the next morning and do the same thing.
Although there are those days.
Yeah, I get that. Yeah, I get, I got them days too. But the depth came in as you work through your issues. Like I love what you quoted, Eric, in James: count it all joy when trouble comes, knowing that the trying of your faith will work perseverance. until you get to the place that you are lacking nothing, until you want nothing. Like you really can be at a place that you can be at that kind of peace where you're no longer reaching for things anymore, but you're now in a place where you're just nurturing each other as the Lord nurtures you. Kind of thing. And so that's one of the things I love about doing the podcast is being able to sit down and talk with couples like you guys that you're locked in to watch the work, but does it really feel like work?
No.
Or let me say this: is it work that you would not want to do?
Oh, I enjoy it.
We enjoy it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, it's like if you like it's the NBA playoffs now, right? And you watch all these players, and they're doing their thing, but they love it. They're gym rats, right? It's work that I wouldn't do, but I would never get the results that they're getting because I don't do the work. Now, but you ask them, they'll go to the gym all day, every day. At least the ones that are great, kind of thing. They love to do that work, and I think it's the same thing in our relationships. Is it's work, but I love to do it. I love the benefits, what I get out of it, kind of thing. So, Eric, what would you say to somebody looking to get married? Anything additional?
Oh no, I think that's pretty much it. I mean, honestly, it is a give and take. You have to be willing to put out some stuff. You got to be willing to put yourself out there. Yeah. You have to be willing to trust that if you fall, your partner will catch you. Yeah. And vice versa. Understand that you again, being practical again. Make sure you have all those hard discussions about do you want kids? Do you not want kids? How many kids do you want to have?
Where do you want to live? Do you want to be close to your family? Do you not mind being far away? Like those.
And then those other practical things like finances, like talk through finances. Like, are we doing a joint account? Are we doing separate accounts? Are we doing a combination of both? Yeah. How are we working? Yeah, who's working? Are both of us working? How do we see? There's a 5-year plan. There's a 10-year plan. There's a long-term plan. And then do you have milestones to make sure that you're still tracking? And if you don't, then that's fine. You just have to adjust. Yeah. And because there's no plan, even in the military, plans, like your best laid plans will not survive impact with the enemy. Yeah. Right. So as soon as you have a plan laid out, as soon as you hit play on that plan, someone else gets a vote. Some other thing gets a vote that you may not have thought about. That was so So you have to be able to adapt and adjust on the plan that you have. Yeah. And so long as you guys are in sync,
flexible too,
and you both have to be willing to bend. Yeah. For certain things, in order to make it work. Yeah.
I love it. That everything you just said is submission articulated. Because I say this all the time, marriages are like snowflakes. There are no two that are exactly the same. And so what one person decides to do with finances, another person won't. The way another person wants, it's just so critical, like you say, to devise your game plans that work for you guys, and then be ready for the change. Because changes are coming, kind of thing. I love that advice. Love that advice. Well, I thank you guys for giving us the second time around here. We were breaking up a little bit, but I think our editors will be able to get it straightened out. Otherwise, we might have to do this again. So, but I would enjoy it either way, kind of thing. So now you're getting ready to go out to sea till July now?
Yes, sir.
Oh, Lord. I will be praying for both of you guys and all them babies and your mama.
Thank you kindly.
So it's a straight, what is that going to be? May, June, a straight 60 days, 90 days? What is it? Is it all of July?
No, it's middle of July.
Middle of July.
At least for right now. I know better than to say, yes, this is the day.
Gotcha. Yes, Lord. So, Jen, how do you get around this time when you know he's getting ready to leave for this extended period of time? Is it tough for you?
The first week or two is rough on everyone, just adjusting to his absence, and the schedule changes a bit because no longer are we teaming it, it's more of a solo. Um, but after that, we slowly adjust and we create a new normal, which we then have to undo once he gets back. So there's a period of adjusting in those first few weeks when he leaves, and in those first few weeks when he comes back.
Yeah, so that first couple weeks when I get back, I try to. She and I talk a lot more about, hey, what changed while I was out? Mm-hmm. What are the new rules so that I don't shoot the head? Huh?
I love that. I love the fact that there is this now awareness that when you come back, it could be a whole nother situation that you got to kind of work through.
It is.
Fact.
Yeah.
I love that. I don't think you understand how powerful that is to be able to walk back and your first question is, okay, what done changed up in here? You know, to understand that it could be a whole nother situation. Yeah. But now you've been doing this for how many years? Having these long.
So I've been in the Navy almost 19 years.
Right. But have you been always doing the since you guys have been married, have you been doing these like 3 to 4 months away kind of thing?
Within the last 10 years.
Yeah.
10 years. So you've been doing 10 years of this. Mm-hmm. Oh, Lord. See, y'all definitely made for each other. Yeah. Because, you know, to be able to work through that, that's some powerful stuff. Let's pray. Father, we thank you for the opportunity to gather around your word. God, I thank you for Jen and Eric. God, I thank you for what you are doing in their lives and in their relationship and in their children. God, I pray, God, that you would just continue to keep a hedge of protection around them. God, I thank you for the deposit that you've placed in them and how they have been gracious enough to share that deposit with us. God, I thank you, Lord, in advance for how that deposit will make an impact on someone in this world. God, I thank you, Lord, that you would just continue to nurture them and keep them and cause them to always keep their focus on you and to let no man put asunder what you have joined together. God, we thank you, Lord, and we call these things done in Jesus' name. And we all said, amen. 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 All right. Well, y'all go ahead and take care of them beautiful children. And like I said, I'll connect up with you in July. And I'm going to send you, like I said, I'm going to send you guys the links and everything. So just, you know, friend and like and all that kind of stuff. And like I said, I'd love to hear your comments on the first 2 podcasts. Okay.
All right. Awesome.
All right, family. Love you guys.
Thanks for watching How Love Can Last Forever After All podcasts. Please remember to like, subscribe, share, and make comments. New episodes come out every other Friday. Thanks so much. See you soon.